Welcome to the Wrestling Time channel, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing, and yes, this is WrestleMania for those who asked in the previous video. Wrestling Time is our second channel. But anyway, now that that's out the way, it's coming up to that time fans patiently await every year where the newest installment in the WWE 2K series and the next game in line WWE 2K20 will be released in less than a month. However, while many fans love the series, others are inevitably disappointed at some of the exclusions from the game each year. It's no secret that games take a long time to make, and these missing pieces are usually due to them being introduced too late into the developmental process, and thus developers are not able to include them into the game. But what's likely to be missing from WWE 2K20? Well, join us now as we look at 7 WWE changes that likely didn't make it into WWE 2K20. Number 1. New sets and logos. With Smackdown's move to Fox and Raw's season premiere, there have been rumours circulating that suggest that both shows are going to have revamped sets, and if this is uploaded after Raw this week, we'll know for sure. Hopefully we can get something even half as cool as the old Smackdown fist, but even if that is the case, they won't be included in WWE 2K20. With the game almost certainly finished by now, this sadly leaves no time for any to be included. Let's hope that some of the more talented fans out there can create a good replica in the game's Create Arena mode, but for now, an official set won't be available until next year's installment. That is unless they change it again nearer to the game's release next year. Number 2. New character looks. Some of the more frustrating parts of playing the 2K series has been when a wrestler's look has changed by the time the game is released. In the past, this has affected the Shield members who had already broken up by the time of 2015's installment came out, who for the most part were sporting new looks, unlike the game's by then out-of-date Riot Gear outfits. This year, the same will likely apply to the likes of Rusev, who has only just returned sporting a much slimmer frame and an impressive moustache to make Freddie Mercury proud. Others likely to be affected are Brock Lesnar and his recent beard, as well as Becky Lynch, who has had a number of ring gear changes over the last month. Not to mention Sasha Banks' new change of hair colour. Number 3. New gimmicks. Similar to the last point, sometimes it's not just a look that's changed, sometimes a wrestler's entire gimmick is overhauled without enough time for it to be included into the game. 2 examples of this that will likely frustrate fans this year are Baron Corbin's new King Corbin gimmick and Bayley's new heel character. This also applies to newly formed teams like Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, or Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. It would be nice to have unique entrance graphics for these teams, but it's unlikely that will happen. Number 4. New belts. Since this year's Elimination Chamber, 2 new titles have been introduced to the WWE roster. First up was the Women's Tag Team titles at that very show, and while they've had their ups and downs, fans will surely want the chance to have their own Women's Tag Team champs in the game. Now, since they were introduced in February of this year, there is a chance these could have sneaked into the game. One that's less likely to make an appearance though is the 24/7 title. This one didn't appear until the May 20th edition of Raw and has brought some much needed fun back into the show in recent months. How awesome would it be to have to survive constant run-ins and backstage attacks while defending the belt? Alas, chances are slim that this will find its way into the game this year. Oh well, hopefully next year we can experience what it's like to be R-Truth for a day. Number 5. New power rankings. One of the biggest conversation starters of the 2K series can be the character stats, which have often left fans wondering how the likes of Kevin Nash could be higher rated than fan favourites like Finn Balor or Johnny Gargano. Most of the time they're pretty close to the mark, but this year, wrestlers whose stock has risen recently such as Cedric Alexander and Eric Rowan are unlikely to be reflected into the game's character stats. This also applies to wrestlers whose stock has fallen. The last few months haven't been kind to Lacey Evans or Lars Sullivan, and their stats could feel greatly over-exaggerated as a result. Number 6. New commentary teams. Commentary has never been a strong point of the 2K series or any wrestling video game for that matter, but with the new announcement that WWE is shaking up its commentary teams for Raw, SmackDown and NXT, this year's will probably feel out of date by the time the game is released. Michael Cole, Corey Graves and Renee Young have been confirmed for SmackDown, so the game will still feature some familiar voices. However, with the inclusion of Dio Madden and Vic Joseph on the Raw side, fans will surely be upset by their notable absences in this year's installment. And number 7, a bigger focus on NXT. It's no secret that there's a new wrestling war on the horizon, and with the former developmental brand's move to a 2-hour weekly live show on the USA Network, NXT has become a major focus for the company, almost on the same level as Raw or Smackdown. Vince McMahon and Triple H would no doubt hate to be embarrassed by a ratings loss to the upstart AEW, so more attention and resources have been pumped into the yellow brand. Sadly, this seems like another element which won't get the focus it deserves in the game itself. NXT has become a big part of the 2K series in recent years, but will this year's game reflect how much the brand's stock has risen in the WWE? Unfortunately, it seems unlikely. But there you have it guys, 7 big WWE changes that won't make it into this year's game. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram at @WrestlingTimeYT, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling video game content.